Welcome back, everybody, to another Maroon Motors podcast. Today, we are here at Century Square on this cloudy and slightly overcast day for our March edition of Cars and Coffee Century Square, hosted by the Texas A&M Sports Car Club, Harvest Coffee, and Century Square. We hope everyone's having a great day today. We certainly are. We've got a pretty nice attendance today. The weather and coming off of spring break have held our attendance from being over capacity once again, which is kind of a nice break. Means that we don't have to play Tetris with cars and figure everything out. But we've got a really nice selection going on this morning. Unfortunately, my co-host Cody Phillips will not be attending today's podcast, and I may have a couple guests on during the podcast today, but we will see how that unrolls. First up on the docket, we're going to kind of go through what we've got going on here at the car show, all the vehicles in attendance, at least from what I can see, and some cool tidbits about it. So, as you might be able to see through the camera here, we've got our exotic showcase in the front. We've got the green Porsche 911 Turbo that is a very regular member here at all of our events, followed by a matte gray Audi R8. I really do like the matte gray. Gives it a little bit of a stormtrooper look, if you will. It makes the appearance much more aggressive for the R8. At least I feel. And he added the high wing from the Audi R8 GT that just came out. The next to that, we have the new Ferrari or newer model, the Ferrari Roma. They've been out for a couple years now. You really don't see many Ferrari Romas around, and I think that it's unfortunate because they are really a beautiful looking car. I believe Ferrari is working on a V12 variant of the Roma, which I think would perform very well both in sales and also in performance, and would be an absolute joy to drive a V12 Roma. That's similar to what a Aston Martin V12 Vantage would be in my mind. So I certainly hope that they unveil that and go forward with that. And then next we have Jason's 1,000 horsepower tuned McLaren 720S in Papaya Spark Orange. Absolute rocket ship of a McLaren. Very cool. He did not bring his 812 today. He was running a little bit busy, so he only brought one car. And then next to that, we have a yellow Dodge Viper Gen 5, if I'm correct, 2014, something of that nature. I'm unsure of its mods. I do believe it is modified, which is quite exciting. And we just love the Vipers here. You don't see many of them, especially the Gen 5s, and most of them have become collector items that get tucked away in garages and never really see the light of day, only collecting a couple miles every year. So it's nice to see an owner out enjoying his Viper and getting some use into it. Now, directly to my right over here, probably just out of the frame or just below it, we have Strom's R32 GTR, making about 480 horsepower on E, almost 500. It's currently for sale. I think $52,000. If you're looking in the College Station area for a R32 or really anywhere in Texas. We've got an R32 for sale. Check it out. Super cool car. Who doesn't love the GTRs? I really like the R32. Um, and it's just a great looking car. It's inspected. It's got all the stuff built at a reputable uh, shop. And it's just an exciting car to own. I mean, who doesn't want a GTR? And the next to that, we've got one of our members, David. He's got a 68 Mustang sitting over there. Very nice and a nice matte black finish. And then a new attendee today is we have an FD RX-7, which is a fan favorite of pop culture and the youth alike. They really do like the RX-7s, the Supras, the GTRs. Lots of JDM culture has influence over here in American automotive industry. So that's exciting. And then we had a group of seven Mustangs come up from Houston with some very highly customized Mustangs. Not necessarily in the sense of performance, but in the sense of show. They all have custom engine bays, painted engine covers, oil covers, reservoirs, heavily done interiors, stuff of that nature. It's very cool to see different people's expression of their vehicles. You know, some people especially in the Corvette. Corvette is very expressive across all of their owners. You know, you've got guys that are out there pushing 2,000 horsepower, you know, twin turbo Corvettes. Others that are, you know, design them for time attacks and autocross machines or track days or top speed, or like these guys where they go in their show vehicles where they enjoy them on the road, but they really enjoy showing them off at events, gaining trophies, and sitting at their lawn chairs enjoying the crowd. So that's about the gist of what we've got going on. Another thing that I just happened to look at is a first generation Ford Lightning, the original Ford Lightning from the 90s, which I think has a modified engine in it. Very cool. Really do not see any of those anymore. There's another one down here in College Station that is, from what I can tell, in really nice condition. I have a feeling maybe one day those will be appreciated and their value will go up, or their demand at least. It would be very cool to see possibly maybe some resto mods with those first gen Lightnings, or even the second gen Lightnings, because we all know what the current Lightning is, and it is electric and not performance based truck, but that is a okay because emissions and whatnot are pushing the future ever forward. And speaking of going forward, the segue I had planned really didn't formulate in my head, so I'm not quite sure what we're going to be saying here. But let's go talk about our upcoming events here at the Texas A&M Sports Car Club. We have Autocross coming up in a couple weeks now on March 30th at the Brazos Expo Center. It's our first autocross since spring of 2019, so 5 years now. Very exciting stuff. We finally were able to get a facility and get everything sorted out. So autocross is gonna be a go. Super exciting. Can't wait for that to happen. And then next month, towards the end of April, April 20th, we have a track day at Bray's Motor Museum and Playground. They just opened in Madisonville. Very cool facility. It's an owner who wants to show off his collection and build a playground. They have a lot of big things planned. They have five more tracks coming down the pipeline outside of the current track that they have. I think they're going to do a speed oval, a 1.9 mile circuit, and some other things. So very exciting stuff to see. We just saw an Evo 8 MR. Fortunately, I don't think they saw our entrance. Very cool. You don't really see those much anymore. And then which will come through the frame very shortly, is a highly modified C7 Z06, and I will just let it drive on by. Yeah, so he has his full drag setup going on, little skinny tires in the front. My guess is that owner probably just came back from Texas 2K, which is just happened in Ennis. Had a lot of weather delays, a lot of rain's been moving through the state this week, but overall 2K seemed like it went all right. I think there's only a couple collisions. A couple cars went off the track. Very exciting nonetheless. And that car probably has 900, maybe 1,000 horsepower. Who really knows? Excuse me. It's got a lot of go. So that is exciting news. But yes, we have our track day coming up. Very exciting. It's in Motors Museum. 1 mile in length, eight turns, quarter mile straight. Should be pretty exciting. It's only about 20 feet wide, so not an entirely wide track, really enough for only one vehicle, but it should be really exciting to go through and feel, uh, being able to really push a car on the track. Without having to really worry about breaking any laws. I mean, that's the purpose of the track. Generally, most tracks are being torn down and stuff like that. But thankfully, we have new tracks being built not too far from us. So we can be super thankful for that and look forward to the incredible activities that we will have out there once they finish building the rest of their facility out, which is, I think, going to take another couple years, but should be very exciting to see. Can't wait to see what that turns out. So, since the last time we had our podcast, which not even sure will ever get published in full, it was a learning process and whatnot. So I think this will be the first official podcast that we have. But we'll do like a bloopers clip, something like that. It's pretty funny. Uh, but Bugatti unveiled their new power plants for their Chiron replacement, and it is basically the opposite of what a lot of people thought was going to happen, including myself. Since their parent company is Rimac, uh, a lot of people expected them to go hybrid, electric, really go like a twin turbo V8 or something like that, electric base, and not and kind of take the soul out of Bugatti. But that is in fact not the case. They put out a teaser video about a V16 motor. And what I've heard is it's possibly going to be in the 8.3 liter range, V16. The sound clip sounds as if it's naturally aspirated, probably paired with a hybrid assist motor, probably making in the similar Chiron horsepower range. They may even go a little bit less, but shave a lot of weight off of the car. Uh, the teaser body line under the cover seems like they've focused more on weight savings on this one, which is probably good because the car is 2 tons, a little over. Very heavy vehicle, still incredibly fast, but a V16, ladies and gentlemen, especially if it comes out to an 8.3 liter V16 in today's day and age, is absolutely phenomenal. And I cannot believe that Bugatti has done that. And I cannot wait for that to get unveiled. I believe the unveiling is going to be in um, June. So I will be eagerly awaiting the outcome of what the Chiron successor will be, especially since it has a V6. I mean, V6. I mean, when was the last time that we heard of V16 being put into a production car? We've heard concept cars. They had the Cadillac 16, I think, in the early 2000s or something like that. But you'd have to go back all the way into the 1920s and 1930s to really get a V16 powertrain in a automobile. And it's super exciting to see all of this. I think it's going to sound insane. The two the little sound teaser they gave us kind of reminded me of the Garage 56 um Camaro that raced at Le Mans. It's got that deep prowess growl, and I saw a comment that I really liked. Someone said the Chiron motor sounded like a beast that should not be disturbed, and the V16 sounds like you have now pissed off said beast and is now coming to kill you. I really like that. I think that's kind of the ideology of what this car is going to represent and sound like, and I can't wait to see what Bugatti does with it come June. Speaking of new things coming, we've got these new flight tags that we just got in. We've got, I think, 500 or 1,000 of them, something like that. Show them there in the camera. Pretty cool stuff. Really nice. I think they're like 4 or 5 inches long by an inch. Really nice design. Everybody was requesting flight tags to put on their keychain, and now we have them. Super exciting stuff. So yeah, everybody's just kind of chilling here. And we've got great turnout. The weather's good. It's not a million degrees yet, which I am really enjoying because I cannot. Let me rephrase that. I do not want the heat to arrive in Texas, but I know it undoubtedly will, as it does every single year, and it will be 100 before long. So I'm enjoying the cool, cloudy, refreshing weather while it lasts. No sweat, no stuffy humidity. Quite nice. It's how Texas is. But yes, Bugatti should be really exciting. Also, the LaFerrari successor is unveiled today, or not today, but this year, as well as the P1 and the 9. I think a lot of unveilings are happening this year for the 2025 or 2026 model year going forward. We have the Chiron replacement, we have the LaFerrari replacement, I believe the 918 replacement, the P1 replacement. I'm not entirely sure how the P1 replacement's going along, considering McLaren's been having some minor financial issues recently. And then Aston Martin has hopefully gained some footing. They really do produce beautiful cars, and the new Vantage, I believe, is absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful looking car. Has a lot of power, a lot of styling. The interior is really nicely done, and the technology is good. A lot of people complain about the technology. Me, I'm not a technology person, so I really don't mind, old screens or whatnot. I'm really there more for the driving performance of the vehicle. How does it look? How does it drive? Stuff like that. But a lot of the customers do care about that stuff, and they have to take that into consideration, and I hope that this new model brings them success, because I really would hate to see Aston Martin go away, as they just produce beautiful, beautiful cars for all of us to enjoy, and they depreciate quite heavily. So they make good buys. I don't know. It depends on what you deem as a good buy. On the secondary market, you can get some very well styled and well optioned vehicles for a half or a quarter of what they once cost. So that's quite exciting. Similar to what the McLaren, or not the McLaren, but the Maserati MC20. I've heard the depreciation is hitting those quite violently, and it will be interesting to see exactly where they settle out. I know that they're in the 200s now. They started, in the threes at MSRP, and really no one does markups on those, because they um they depreciate so quickly. I have a feeling in 4 or 5 years from now, I could see MC20s in the 100s easily. 150, maybe even 125 for some uh marked title ones. Uh, which brings me around to the Gran Turismo. I think it just got announced, or the new replacement, and it's got a decent amount. It's got their 2.9 liter twin turbo V6, I believe, that they put in the Quadrifoglio Alpha products and stuff like that. But MSRP is like 190,000, 220. It's an insanely high price for the Maserati, and I always wonder who really buys these Maseratis. Like, who is buying a $225,000, Gran Turismo that is going to depreciate 45% in the following 2 years? Like, I really wonder what customer that is. But they're out there. I mean, Maserati still continues to survive somehow, and they're kind of like the one of the wonders of the automotive industry. How do they keep breathing? But they make cool looking cars. Some of them sound good when they work, but once they become old and finicky, you want to stay away as much as possible, because your mechanic will just own your Maserati for the most part, unless you get lucky and get a reliable one. Speaking of markups and such, one of our members, Victor, who came in the Roma this morning, was saying that they looked at a Dodge 170 yesterday, and they're uncertain about the pricing and whatnot because of the markups and how they've been performing. When they first came out, I saw there were a couple of people asking $400,000 for a Demon 170, which is absolutely insane. It had itself a $200,000 markup, which is it's ridiculous. I mean, it is capitalism at the end of the day. It's consumer market, and I think that those people who paid, way threes and fours and high twos and whatever, are feeling the pressure now because now they've lost. Some of them have lost almost half of that market value, so they're, in the low twos now, and something like that. And I suspect that those will come down. Probably, they may be. Like the demons or other stuff. They'll probably be in the low 200s, hold high 100s range, but they are not a $300,000 car because really at the end of the day, it's just a Challenger with upgraded uh, drivetrain, suspension components, and a massive engine in it. It's pretty simple. I mean, that's kind of how you build cars go fast. You keep the everything else pretty simple, and you just put an absolute ton of power into it, and kind of go from there. So interesting to see how that market overall the market seems to be coming down. The Porsche market has softened. The 996 market has softened. The 997 market was really high, and that seems to be tapering off a little bit. And then everything just kind of seems to be calming down. There aren't many record transactions occurring anymore. The ones that are occurring on blue chip autos that will continue to go up as long as time keeps on moving forward. Um, and I don't see that changing. F40, F50, type products are going to keep going up. But the SF90s have done quite poorly. I know those are starting to transact in the 3 to 400 range, which is no surprise. They had a really high speculation on them. Uh, in the same category a little bit was the Aventador Ultimates. Uh, they had really high markups beginning. Really, they didn't perform quite like the SVJs did. I was expecting them to have a big craze like the SVJ, but I think because their styling was not distinctive enough compared to the SVJ, is why they didn't have that um, demand that a lot of the other cars do have. They kind of look like an Aventador S a little bit with a little bit more flair and a couple other highlights elsewhere, but really don't stand out like the Aventador SVJ does. We have our member here, David Scott, who's got this time instead of his Mazda Speed 3 hatch, he has brought his 68 Mustang. Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah. So David, tell us a little bit about your Mustang and kind of when you got it and kind of why you got it.
So I got it in like summer 2017. Me and my dad wanted a classic car for it was my first car. So we got it like the brakes kind of stopped it, but it ran and drove, which was our big thing. Um, it had a hole in the floor. We did as much. We had like never really worked on stuff before, so we were working on it totally blind, kind of YouTube teaching us stuff. Um, Done a little bit of motor work, but it runs fine. Trans work. Interior, a good bit of interior we redid. A little bit of body work. Well, a lot of body work considering the floors had to be totally cut and we had to get new floors in it. But it's never broken down on me. It's been a good teacher. Super easy to work on. If you ever can get your hands on a classic car, it's a great learning platform, believe it or not, because it's so easy to get your hands down there. But it's been a lot of fun. Cool car. Um, didn't want to daily for college just because the nature of college drivers and that whole thing. But
How was the drive down to College Station?
over 70 miles an hour, it got sketchy. Wanted to shake, just felt like it wanted to shake itself apart. But rewrote it 70 down, and I don't know why people say Fords are unreliable because my 50-year-old one can make a 250-mile road trip, no problem. Kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, David. And it's funny that you say they say it's not reliable. Our president, Andrew Spain, in fact, was leaving Arlington today, and his engine, I'm just going to call it now, his engine has blown up now for a second time. He, yes, most likely it has blown up again. He blew it up a couple months ago or in the fall, just driving, and it just decided to throw a rod through the cylinder block. And then he was driving. He got a new crate motor. coming down again in quite literally almost the same way. The same incident probably happened again. So we're gonna something on that vehicle, lemon law or something, but it's a whole new engine. Not entirely sure. It might be a fuel system issue, but yeah. So I think people when they say that old Fords aren't reliable, they may have to look at new Stellantis products because I think that well, your Mustang is here and his Challenger is not. So he it's a go for baby, you know. It's old school. If it breaks down, you just go in there and mess with the carburetor a little bit and get it to going again. Yeah, hit it with the hammer. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, David. I've just realized that I have not been recording our overlay video, so that's gonna be completely fine. I'm gonna overlay a little bit more video, and then I think we're gonna wrap this up today. We don't have a co-host, so can't really talk about too much more because I'm running out of stuff to talk about. But hopefully, on our next podcast, we will have our co-host Cody Phillips back with us, and it will be a jazzy jamboree time. So yeah, thank you for sticking around with the Maroon Motors podcast here at Century Square for March Cars and Coffee events. We look forward to seeing you guys next time and talking more about our car industry and everything that we love about the automobile. Until then, take care.